everybody. Hey, this is John Cavote International down here in Belize. I know this is short notice. We're going live. I'm going to put this on the site here to let us respond. We need to spread the word the best we can. So if you jump on this, you'll want to get the word out to as many people as you possibly can get out as fast as you can get this out. I'm going to go over a few things here. It is going to be shocking. There is a push and a movement that has been happening. I've been talking about it, and people have wanted to just turn a blind eye because they just felt like, oh, you know what, let's just worry about COVID. And in the meantime, some very deceitful individuals have been working to pass a bill to turn into law in the country of Belize that will strip all freedom. It will strip freedom. If you don't believe me, then look at the bills that have been passed in Venezuela. Early in the early 1990s, Venezuela began to thrive, began to become a prosperous nation in South America. And then Cesar Chavez came in, the world, all the socialism, they came out and they said, oh yeah, he's for the people, he's for the people. They passed laws that made it illegal to speak against the government, that you had to prove yourself innocent, you were guilty until proven innocent, and they went down, they stripped all the rights of people. This is what's taking place right now in the country of Belize, and they've been trying to do it under the guise of COVID. So when no one else can gather, they gather, have been working on it. Also at the same time, I'm gonna go over some of this with you, is at the same time, we wanna get this out. There is they have been pushing this agenda. There's outside money that's paying for this. Now, I don't know about you, but there's one way if you procure money to better the people of a country by feeding them, giving them clothes, bringing in education, schooling, and so forth, that's a pretty good way. When you begin to get money and bring money into a nation to influence, corrupt, and to get laws changed, that's tampering with that government. That's tampering with those people. And so, especially when you use their taxpayers' money along with the money that you've procured. So here's what I want to go over. This is the equality bill trying to be passed in the country of Belize. I'm going to give you some points here that are very dangerous, and we need to get the word out. Here we go. I'm going to read them. Number one, we have some objections here, 31 objections. Here's number one. The bill seeks to eliminate discrimination in all forms. Did you know that we have laws already in the country of Belize that eliminate discrimination if those would only be enforced by the law enforcement and by the government at hand? Then if they were to enforce those, we wouldn't have to have an equality bill that's trying to be ramrodded through, because we already have laws that protect people. This bill isn't just about LGBT and homosexual. No, they want to make it out that the church hates gays and all of this. That's not true. We love people, and we love all people. And just because we don't agree with a certain lifestyle doesn't mean we hate somebody. It seems to me that they hate us for not accepting their lifestyle. Number two, the Equal Opportunity Commission will receive and investigate complaints. So they'll have a commission that will receive complaints that supersede the law of the country. So it won't be the law enforcement, it will be a commission. Question is, who makes up that commission? Number three, an equal opportunity tribunal of one judge will hear cases, make rulings, convict, fine, and assess emotional damages as penalty. Page 63, article number 9093. So one judge will hear cases, make rulings, convict, fine, and assess emotional damages as penalty. You understand what's happening here? Number four, the commission and tribunal are promoted as a faster and easier option than the courts. We're going to bypass the courts. This is faster. We'll get done what we want faster. This is against even the Constitution of Belize, and they're trying to supersede it. It's treason. Number five, The commission and tribunal are funded by National Assembly funds. When I spoke with some of them, they said they received the money from outside. So now we have this, the commission and tribunal are funded by National Assembly funds. So money that I have to pay for, that I give in taxes, they can use to convict me for if they don't like the way I think. This is, wait, what about the equality? What about the people that are going hungry? We already have a judicial system in place. Why do we need this one? To supersede the judicial system that we already have in place in the great country of Belize. It's a great country. But you have a select group of people that want to hold on to power. You see what happened in Venezuela when they did it, when Chavez never wanted to relinquish power. That's why Maduro still has it. That's why if you look at the same laws that were passed in Venezuela that they're trying to pass here, look at the condition of Venezuela today. Look at it. You don't have to be a genius to figure out what's going on. That in Venezuela, it's a small group of people that have held on to the power because they don't like it. This bill gets passed, you watch how the election turns. It's going to be very difficult because you can't speak against somebody. Watch this. The commission receives donations. Listen to this. The commission, this same commission and tribunal funded by the National Assembly, receives donations very susceptible to special interest bias. Page 68, number 106. So they can receive donations? They can be, it okays corruption. Right here. Whoever wrote this is crazy. It receives donations. What legal organization that is against crime? Not donations for parties or for kids within the group or whatever. This just receives donations, which is bias. Right? Here's one that's scary to me. Number 7. The law overrides any and all other laws in Belize except the Constitution. Page 18, number 5, Article 5. This equality bill overrides all other laws unless, but here's what they say when we've had meetings, and I've heard them say it, but the Constitution still stands. But this overrides all the laws that the Constitution says. It's in the own verbiage. If this passes, we already know that they say that there's overwhelming majority in Belize. I don't think so. If a country of 400,000 people, if 50,000 want this bill and 350,000 don't want it, you don't have an overriding majority. You're picking its selection here. Listen to me. I want to read this again. This is scary to anyone. If you're watching in America, whenever this goes out, you should be outraged, especially with the free nation. This law overrides any and all other laws in Belize except the Constitution. The commission is not subject to or controlled by any other person or authority. Page 52, number 72 and 74. So the commission that they put into place is not controlled or subject to any authority within Belize. Not the Supreme Court, not the Prime Minister. This is a coup d'etat. This is a coup. This is treason. This is putting people in power that cannot be removed. Think I'm kidding? Watch this. The tribunal is not subjected or controlled to any other person. Failure to comply with the tribunal is a fine of $20,000 and or 3 years in prison. This is communism, dictatorship. This isn't freedom. There's no freedom in this. Failure to comply with the tribunal. If the tribunal shows up at your door and says, we're going to investigate you, and you say no, they can fine you $20,000. It gets scarier. The commission operates by discrimination, complaints, but can investigate without complaint, potentially target organizations, schools, or businesses. That includes churches or anyone who disagrees with anything that they think. Did you hear me? The commission operates by discrimination. It's supposed to be there, like if you're not equal with people, if you're discriminating, but they can investigate without complaint. Sounds like China. Sounds like what Pol Pot did in Cambodia. Check your history. Man, come on, Belize. Check your history. This is scary. Any tribunal has the power that surpasses all laws except for the Constitution that can say, hey, we're going to investigate you without complaint. We're going to bring charges to you. That is communism. That's what Fidel Castro did. Don't let this all come out. Talk to the majority. If Cuba was so great, I know it's going to touch some nerves because Cuba is tied in here and we send people to school, but you cannot argue the fact if Cuba is so great, why do people flee at risk of their lives to get to other countries? Communism. Now, a little bit of can of worms here. This is even outside of it has to do with me too, even with my faith in Jesus Christ. Because I love Jesus and a person on this commission doesn't love Jesus, I can be investigated. And if I speak about their sin, sounds a lot like in the Bible, if you're a believer, this is what happened to John the Baptist with Herod. Right here. This is biblical. This is much bigger than the LGBT agenda. This is bigger. There's this a corruption and power that those in power right now want to hold on into and keep. It will cause great harm in the country of Belize and in our region. Right? This law makes discrimination a crime. Offenders will be charged criminally. Isn't discrimination already a crime? Maybe we should enforce those laws that are already in place. My gosh. How about this one? The law enshrines an LGBT definition or gender identity. So it enshrines it, puts it into place. All right? Good. It's all right. We love people. People make choices. Not all choices people make are right, but they still have the freedom to make choices. Right? We have to be okay with that. I realize that not all people believe in Jesus. It's okay. I still love them, care for them, and want the best for them. We don't discriminate against them. But at the same time, I don't need someone coming in and indoctrinating children. This is scary. The law identifies 18 protected groups, plus a totally open group without designation, which the commission can set or assign at a later date. Oh, based on money. That cannot be discriminated. At least 5 are LGBT. If this is an equality bill, then I want you to think about the common sense behind this. If this is an equality bill for all people, why is there 18 protected groups? Isn't this supposed to be for everybody? And why are we classifying groups? If it's an equality bill for all people, why are there groups? Because those groups are the ones who have paid the most money to them already. Guaranteed. Calling it out. They're going to be pissed. We need to get this out there globally. Here we go. You ready? The bill states discrimination is intended or unintended, direct or indirect, knowing or unknowing, and also includes past, present, and future discrimination. Page 16, number 4, 5, 6, and 7. Discrimination, listen to what I'm saying here. The bill states that discrimination is intended or unintended, direct or indirect, knowing or unknowing, and also includes past, present, and future discrimination. So basically, you would go before a corrupt tribunal and judges, and they can say, we know what you're going to do in the future. Therefore, we're imprisoning you. That is what's happening in Belize right now. goes to the floor tomorrow, and then on Wednesday, if that passes, it goes there to become law. It should be struck down immediately. And those who wrote this should be treason. Let's see if anyone has the wherewithal, the integrity, and the love of freedom to protect a country from this. I don't know if we're going to get this. Discrimination is intended or unintended. Well, who determines if it was unintended? So a guy applies for a job and he's not as qualified as the other guy, and he files a complaint and says I discriminated against him because he didn't get the job. And because now look at future discrimination here that's in the wording, that basically all Belizeans lose all your rights to a very small group of people that can control and dictate whatever they want. Where do you think all the money is going to go? Where do you think all the money is going to go? It's going to go to this group. Discrimination is intended or unintended, direct or indirect. What does that mean? Direct. Belize, open your eyes, open our ears. This is freedom. And God gave us freedom to protect. He established the borders for us to protect, to be stewards of, to partner with him, to steward what he's given us. And he's given us freedom, and we're giving it away to a very small group of people that want power. Direct or indirect, knowing or unknowing. If you are unknowing, if you're sitting at a table and you say, man, I really didn't like that Disney movie, you can be brought before the tribunal, convicted, put into prison, and fined money. Because you unknowingly, by your opinion, discriminated against someone else who liked the Disney show. How about this for all of you out there that are outraged over the Netflix, the pedophilia? I mean, it's sickening. Sick! That means if you say Netflix is horrible and pedophiles should be in prison, they can say right here, unknowing, and also includes past, present, and future discrimination. You realize that what I'm saying right now, if this bill passes, they can use it against me to convict me. They're trying to scare me. I will not live by fear. Past, present, and future discrimination. So if you, by chance, as a young man, 30 years ago, didn't pick a so-called member on this commission or tribunal, who's had their feelings hurt 30 years ago in school, they didn't get to be a part of the club or a part of the sporting, they can actually bring that up. Past 30 years ago, there's no statute of limitations here. Belize, open up your ears and eyes. Come on, Belizeans. There's no statute of limitations. Statute of limitation. Past 30 years ago, they can bring it up. You can be fined money. And that person then can take it before the judge, and the judge can say, oh, you hurt this person for 30 years. So I think that's $5,000 a year of damage. 5 times 30, $150,000 you owe this person. Whoa. But what scares me is the future discrimination. How the hell do they know the future? These people don't even know what's going to happen 5 minutes from now. You and I don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen. You assume you know what's going to happen 30 seconds from now, but you could drop dead right now of a heart attack. It's right here in the bill. How about this one? Discrimination can be against someone who has a protected characteristic. Oh, do you understand what this means? Or had, or maybe didn't have at the time, or most people with that characteristic do have, or is imputed to those to have, or is presumed to have, or someone who is a friend with someone who has. Colossians says, mankind just thinks they're so wise and wisdom. You know what this is? This is a bunch of double talk BS that basically says this is what Hitler did. Come on, history repeats itself, people. This is what Hitler did. So you think they're writing this to say, look, we're protecting the LGBT community, those who are discriminated against. This creates equality to women. No, it doesn't. What this means is that just like ISIS does, just like Hitler did, just like communism does today, that China's doing today, is right here. Is someone who has protected characteristic. Discriminating me against someone who has a protected characteristic. They will turn this around and they will say that those with disabilities are infringing on those protected individuals. Remember the 18 groups? And they will institutionalize them. They can argue and say I'm crazy. Check your history books. Can't cancel history. It's there. It's what Hitler did. We don't like the way you think. Church, get ready. If you don't do something about this, they can round you up. The bill states it is discrimination to terminate an employee with protected characteristics as explained. So it's interesting to me, what are the 18 groups? Now watch, if you're part of the LGBT community, you basically can steal from your employer, not show up on time, not show up to work at all, damage equipment, destroy equipment, basically sabotage a company, and the employer has to continue to hire you, keep you employed, because if he fires you for that, it's discrimination to terminate him. If this wasn't in print, I would, it's comical, man, but it's scary. This is the reality of what's happening in the country of Belize right now by selected few that have been ramrodding this. Why do you think that they've told you you can't have mass gatherings? Why do you think that they've done all this? Listen, I just read a report today. I'm going to jump off a rabbit trail a little bit. They said 29 million people globally have COVID-19. Do the math. There's 7.8 billion people on the earth. 29 million have had COVID, not died, have had COVID. Why don't you find out how many people had the flu so far this year? I bet you it's more than 29 million. You can't gather, you can't meet, you can't discuss. Why do you think that they've outlined in Belize? Starting to make sense, right? Why do you think they banished the churches? You can't meet as a church. Oh, you can do virtual, but you can't meet as a church. Because they know that we would read this and discuss it, and they're afraid of it. So they've been pushing it under. So that it's criminal. The bill states it is discrimination to expel a student with protected characteristics as explained. Don't we have those laws already for both of those? Where's the protection of the employer? Can the employer file I feel discriminated against by my employee that's stealing from me? But you see that if that person pays off the judge or anyone on this tribunal and they feel sorry because this person is LGBT or part of the 18 group, do you realize that this law supersedes all other laws so they can say it's not theft? Do you see how scary this is? The commission will decide if a school, the commission, not the laws of Belize, the commission will decide if a school can make facility adjustments for students, disabilities, including the commission assessing school financials. There you have it. If you're a private school, they control your money. Toledo Christian Academy, Banana Bank Christian School, any Catholic school. Man, the priests in this country should be outraged. Anglican, Catholic schools, we should be outraged by this. Do you realize that this commission that they're forming will have the power, if this law passes, to look at every bit of money that comes into your school. They will control it's communism. Owners cannot discriminate by refusing to rent or evicting persons. Oh, so basically someone moves into your house, they don't pay rent for 5 years. You can't evict them. You can't evict them. It's discrimination. It's right there. Owners cannot discriminate by refusing to rent or evicting persons. You can't evict somebody. It's discriminating against them. It's right there in the print. See, what they'll tell you is, oh, you cannot discriminate by refusing to rent to somebody. They don't want to tell you the rest of it. Well, of course, we already know that. It's already in the laws of Belize. Why don't we enforce that? Because it's not about that. It's about giving power and not losing power. Getting power and not losing power. My gosh. One person cannot discriminate in goods or services. This affects renters, any service where moral convictions are objectionable. You hear the wording? Get this out. We need as many people to watch what I'm talking about right now. In America, in Belize, wherever. Let me reread that. Because if this passes here, it is a stepping stone for them to do it throughout the Caribbean, Central America, and then into North America. Watch. This affects renters, any service where moral convictions are objectionable. So as a Christian, as a follower of Jesus Christ, if I say my moral conviction says to me that I don't want that activity going on in my business, then what they can say is that my moral convictions don't matter. I have no personal rights. As in cases, now they're using American law here. Notice what they're doing. They say this is Belize, but they're using American stuff. Watch. As in cases of cake baker, photographer, lawsuits, among others. They can come to you if you're a Christian photographer. And basically, I'm going to tell you, this is how it is. They'll say it's outlandish. It's not outlandish. They can come to you as a Christian photographer and said, I want you to do a photography of our wedding. And if you say no, you can be charged and put into prison for discrimination. You lose all rights, all freedoms. If you say, no, I'm not going to do it. If they come to you and say, okay, we want you to make a cake of a man and woman having sex. And you say, no, it's against my moral convictions. You can be put in prison. You can be fined and put by a commission, not by the law of Belize, but by this that supersedes all laws. Let me read it again. One cannot discriminate in goods and services. This affect renters, any service where moral convictions are objectionable. Objectionable to who? Objectionable to the individual that's making the complaint or the tribunal. Remember, the tribunal or the commission doesn't have to have a complaint to come and try to convict you. Man, this is scary, guys. We need to rise up and speak out today, tomorrow, get on the phone, call your area representatives, your senator, call whoever you can, outrage. Right? Here we go. Here's another one. This bill will alter the insurance industry. They said it. It will alter the insurance industry. I don't know what that means. I can't even articulate it properly or elaborate on it because I don't understand. This bill will alter the insurance. What does that mean? Does that mean that they can discriminate against you if you're not LGBT? If you're not in one of the 18 protected groups, which I haven't seen the groups, but I can almost guarantee none are religious organizations. The commission, you ready? Here goes your freedom, Belize. Here goes your freedom. All you people that want to say, me no watch no face, no. Me no watch no face. Me no I worry about that. They can't touch me. That's my place. This is for me. This is for my land. I will sell for who I want to sell. Ready? Here goes your freedom. The commission will determine discrimination in selling property. If you sell a piece of property for $1 million and someone in the LGBT community or someone in that 18 protected group only had 800,000, you can be prosecuted, lose that land, put into prison for discrimination because you didn't sell it to one of those in that 18 protected groups. It's right here in the law they're trying to pass, this bill. This has nothing to do with equality. This is about ushering in an absolute coup. It's treason against the Constitution of Belize. It's scary. It's a direct assault on our faith in Jesus Christ and the church. And I believe this, man. We are supposed to be stewards in the protection of what God's given us. And sometimes I wonder, man, I think this is why God's called me to be a missionary, because I'm going to stand up and fight for people who can't fight for themselves. I'm tired of the corruption, tired of the human trafficking that they overlook. And I'm tired of this getting ramrodded down the average. The person's just out there in the villages just trying to work, man. They're just trying to make a living. And you have this small group of people. I could mention names, man. I could name names. Like I said, I'm already, according to this right here, according to this, let's stick right here at 22. I'm going to go back up, remember? This bill states discrimination is intended or unintended, direct or indirect, knowing or unknowing. It also includes past, present, and future discrimination. They could come back to me if this bill passes and put me in prison. They could say I discriminated against them. That's why I'm not mentioning names, but they know who I'm talking about, and so do you. This is what's happening right now, this agenda that's being pushed in the world. But it's happening in Belize first. Why? Because all the outside money coming from these groups and organizations, socialist organizations, communist organizations, the LGBT community, are all funding and pushing the money into Belize to try and alter it. That is an act of war. When a country from outside its own gives money and tries to influence and alter laws that will change the freedom and take away the freedom of the people in the country of Belize, that is an act of war by those on the outside, trying to strip the freedoms of Belizean people. We already have laws. If they were enforced, we wouldn't have to have this equality thing. Why is this push? Because it tells you right here. Look at here it goes. The commission will determine discrimination in selling a property. They are removing and stripping you of all of your freedoms if this bill passes. Political opinion gets a free pass in relation to employment. Did you hear that? Number 24, political opinion gets a free pass in relation to employment. Page 37, number 38. It's nepotism. They're actually legalizing it. They're saying that if this political group, now make no mistake about it, it doesn't matter if it's UDP, PUP, whatever it is, if this passes, guys, those of you in America, you better watch out, because laws that are passed in other countries, especially neighboring countries, do affect the country of America, because what they do is they actually will fund it out in these smaller countries to get momentum so that the case can be stated in America. Check it. Check it. Right here, political opinion. This group, this equality group, and the people that have written this or trying to get it passed, listen, this bill right here, this will allow them to form their own political party. Letitia, this is a bill. I live in the country of Belize and do a lot of stuff working with people and human rights and different things in the country of Belize. This is a bill that's being passed, that they want to pass in the country of Belize, but it's being funded from organizations in the Caribbean and America so that they can set a precedent. It's coming your way. Watch this. Here it is right here. The bill, this commission will determine discrimination selling property. Political opinion gets a free pass. Victimization against someone who makes a report to the commission, $5,000 fine and or 1 year in prison. If someone, watch how scary this is. If someone reports you to the commission and you say, that dude's a jackass, the commission can fine you $5,000 or 1 year in prison. Remember, this commission supersedes all laws of the country. So you can't, if that person says, I feel threatened by you, remember, go back up, take number 25, go back up to this one right here, number 15, that says, the bill states discrimination is intended or intended, direct or indirect, knowing or unknowing, and also includes past, present, future discrimination. Right here, I feel like I'm going to be discriminated against more, and I'm more of a victim. They can use 15 for something you haven't even done, charge you for it, fine you $5,000 and put you in prison for a year. It's communism. Discrimination in advertising, social media, etc., is a fine of $5,000 or 1 year in prison. In advertising or social media, do you understand what's happening? That means, and remember that they don't have to have a search warrant. They don't have to have, they don't even have to have a complaint. Someone can look at an ad that you have. Like I can say, hey, I'm going to have a church service. We're going to worship Jesus this Saturday night at Machaca. And it's going to be worship in the jungle. They can actually come investigate me. And then they can say, we feel, remember, future discrimination. We feel that you are discriminating against people because we feel that it was your intent that not all were invited. Therefore, it's a $5,000 fine and 1 year in prison. This is a very scary bill. Assisting or a funding of discrimination. It's a $10,000 and or 2 year in prison. Assisting or funding discrimination? Watch this. You want to see how scary this one is? This is probably one of the scariest ones in here. You go, what do you mean? Why is it so scary? Here's why. If you fund a group of attorneys or a political group that wants to write a bill against this bill, if it passes, to overthrow this bill, then that, according to the law, will be assisting and funding discrimination, because the people that are in power will say we are discriminated against, and they will take that discrimination, they will fine you and put you in prison for 2 years. Here's a scary one. HIV test for 16-year-olds needs no parental consent. So a minor doesn't need parental consent to see it. This opens the door for so much more. It's disgusting. Again, this bill that's trying to be passed in Belize makes what happened on Netflix okay. Pedophilia will be okay. Human trafficking will be okay. Because the guy that's trafficking another human can say, I feel I'm discriminated against. And what laws does he really have? What rights does he have? Especially, hey, what about this? I want you to think about this, because remember that up here in the top article, it says that the commission receives donations, can receive donations. So El Chapo, one of the leaders of the major drug cartels, comes in and says, we want to move our drugs, and we want to traffic children. And they pay off the commission through a donation. It's right here. The commission can pursue charges if complainant does not wish to. If someone just says, I don't like that guy, they can pursue charges against you. My gosh. How about this? Accused are not allowed, if you're accused, if someone accuses you or this commission accuses you of discrimination in any kind, you are not allowed an attorney or legal representation while you're being investigated. There's no freedom. This is a total, if you are accused of a crime, because remember, this bill supersedes all laws in Belize. It's coming to America. Think I'm kidding? Look at what's happening right now. But it's happening in this country. If you are accused of any crime of discrimination, that means if someone doesn't like you and they can accuse you of this, you are not allowed to defend yourself. You cannot have an attorney or legal representation while you're being investigated. You can't have anyone speak on your behalf. You can't get any counsel. Who has all the power? This very small group. Looks a lot like Venezuela. Looks a lot like what Fidel Castro did in Cuba. Looks a lot like what's taking place in North Korea. A lot like what's taking place in China. And this small group of people right here in this country who have power are trying to force this on the people of Belize, the good people of Belize. It's disgusting. An individual must prove, the last one, an individual must prove his innocence in a complete reversal of normal jurisprudence, where you are deemed innocent until proven guilty. Burden of proof. So you're guilty the moment that someone says anything according to this bill. So as a pastor of a church, I'm a pastor of a church. And if I say, and I preach the good news of Jesus Christ and that offends somebody, they can investigate me and charge me with a crime. And I have to prove myself innocent because I'm automatically guilty. If I say no words, I'm automatically put in prison. This is an assault on religious freedom. It's an absolute assault on the country of Belize. And it needs to be shut down. It needs to be ended. Belize, we need to get this out. America, you need to get it out. You need to call. Man, if you're in America, call the embassy in Belize and say, hey, we do no way. This is bad. America needs to speak out against this because money's coming in from outside. This is horrible. This is an assault on our faith in Jesus Christ. This is an assault on freedom. It is the most, I'm telling you, as I'm reading through this bill, they have used the cover of COVID and all this lockdown. We haven't been able to travel in or out of country. They have been able to. No one else is. We can't gather and discuss it. And they've been working night and day with attorneys who aren't even from Belize. The attorneys working on this that are heading it up aren't even from Belize. There's a few of them in Belize, and that's where they say, oh, yeah, well, see, we got it. This has just been undercover, and it's going crazy. Man, it's so true. Land of the free by the Carib Sea. There's none of that. You need to listen, Belize, you need to remove that. If this passes, you can't sing that anthem anymore, the national anthem. You actually have to change and alter the flag. And I guarantee if they do, if this passes, they will. Just like Venezuela. It's scary. Guys, we need to absolutely come together, put our differences aside, and come together and realize there's a very small minority that's trying to force and remove and strip your voice and your rights in the country of Belize. They don't care, and they want to be in power forever. If you think that I'm crazy, look at what happened in Venezuela. If this bill passes, notice how they're trying to do it now before the elections. because those in power now will profit from this. The opposition party can't say anything bad about it. If there's corrupt politicians, you discriminated against me for calling out my corruption. And the person who's in the right gets thrown into prison. You know, the Bible warned us about this, and I'm grateful for Jesus Christ. I'm grateful for my faith. I'm grateful for the saving grace of Jesus Christ, and I stand up and will proclaim the good news of Jesus. But I'm also not ignorant to the fact that throughout his word, he has showed me that these are the tactics of the enemy, and this is a war that we're in, and evil has invaded earth. And so it doesn't shock me. But what does shock me is that people will put aside and give up their freedoms and their voice for peace and safety. No, I will stand up and fight for the people. I'll stand up and be a voice against dark and evil. Make no mistake about it. This is evil. This bill at its core is evil. It's evil. It allows anyone, at any time someone can just come into my house. That's what it says. Guys, wake up. Belize, we need you to stand up. We need you to please get this out. Share this. Just take this video as soon as I post it and share it. Share it and tell people, hey, I know it's long, but watch it. Watch it. Just watch it and then be a voice. We need to get this out. I love this country and I love the people within this country, and there's a small group that are trying to silence the good people of Belize. We are created in Belize, I believe this, to be a lighthouse to Central America and the Caribbean. And these small voices are trying to silence that and to make us a destitute country, and a country where only they have the power, where only they have the freedom, and everyone else has no say. But underlying behind that, it's a direct assault on your religious freedoms. I don't care if you're Catholic. I don't care if you're Anglican, evangelical. I don't care if you're Mormon. I don't care what your religious faith is. If you're Jehovah's Witness, I don't care what you are. They are going to come after you and shut you down. Why? Because you speak against the way they live and what they want. They want all power. Who's going to be put on the board? Who's going to be on the commission? Those that put on the commission are selected. Are those who put on the tribunal are selected by the commission. Well, who makes up the commission? The people that wrote this. It's not elected. You don't get a vote who's going to be on that commission. You don't get it. It's not a national election of who's going to be on the tribunal or the commission. It's put in place already. It's a direct assault on your faith in Jesus Christ. It's a direct assault on freedom. It's a direct assault on children. This bill, though they call it equality, is evil at its core. This is a direct assault on children. This will allow pedophilia to become legal. This will allow that anything that anyone with a perverse mind wants to do to a child will become legal. We need to stand up and say no. And any person who has any kind of morals or integrity would stand up and say no to this. I will stand toe-to-toe with any individual and argue this. I typically won't do anything like that. I'm typically, I'll just talk about Jesus and love Jesus and, hey, how do we get food to people? How do we stop corruption? How do we stop human trafficking? That's my voice. But in this bill passes, human trafficking is legal in the country of Belize. Pedophilia is legal in the country of Belize. Right now, if they're hearing this, they're freaking out. No, that's not true. It is true according to your rules, according to your laws that are in it. Because based upon the amount of money, if I say, hey, I'm going to give you $10 million to the tribunal, to that judge, as a donation, the moment you get that money, I got a free pass. That's what's happening in the country of Belize right now. We need to stand up. It goes to the floor tomorrow. And guys that listen again in America, make phone calls, call the Belize embassy, say, hey, we know what's happening in Belize. This is anti-freedom. This is totally, we got to seriously, we got to let people know what's going on in this country, because it will alter and change it. And if they get it passed, they will use this as precedence to get it passed in America. You watch. California, you should really be nervous. Newsom and Pelosi, they love this. Washington, D.C., scary. New York, man, watch out. It's coming your way. We need to stop it now. So a couple things you can do. First and foremost, pray. We need lots of prayer. I don't think we should become violent over this. I'm not promoting violence or advocating violence in any way. I'm advocating that we get our voices out and we become aware of it and we say no to it, and we be a loud voice to say no. So please pray that it doesn't turn that way. Please pray that we stand up, and please pray that from this, if it says, I'm believing that they'll say no to it, they'll reject it, but that will have strong leadership in the country of Belize that will enforce the laws that are already in place that are for those who are being discriminated against. You don't need more rules and laws. You just need to enforce the ones you have. So coming to you from Belize, I'm John, Kavod International. Pray for us, because we're in the fight for our lives. We are literally in the fight for our lives and for our ministry in the country of Belize that God's given us. This is a fight. Why? I believe this, and forgive me for saying it, but I feel like I'm partially at cause for this, because we're changing a nation. We're changing the hearts of men and women. Families are getting united. Families are coming together in Jesus Christ. We're becoming more and more a powerhouse to be reckoned with, and so the enemy is trying to shut it down. They don't want the leadership and the counseling center back here at Machaca. They don't want to have that happening, where people can be cured and healed of wounds that happened to them in childhood, and where women and children can be protected. They don't want that. They don't want where individuals can learn how to farm and learn how to do business for themselves and become sustainable on their own. No, they want them to be dependent on the government. They don't want that, and so they're bringing a full-on assault. They don't want Jesus. Now listen to me. This is real. If you don't believe me, look at what happened in Venezuela beginning in the early 2000s to this point. They removed all the missionary groups. They put the missionary groups where they could only keep an eye on them. They removed all the missionaries out of the bush, out of the field. It was illegal to be a missionary in that country. And they passed a bill almost identical to this. Well, guess what? We're up to speed. And we need voices to rise up. Again, pray. Pray, pray, pray. Pray and let your voice be heard. Let your voice be heard. Tell this to everyone. Please, if you've got this, write a note, pass it on when I post it. Say, I know it's long, but you've got to hear what's happening in the country of Belize. We have to get our voices out. Belizeans, spread the news as fast as you can, because they've ramrodded it without anyone knowing. We have been given no rights at all. We haven't been able to assemble or anything. And then suddenly they said, oh, by the way, we're going to do this on Tuesday and Wednesday. So I'm John, out from Belize. Spread the word. We love you. Thank you. You can help support us at kavodinternational.org. You can go there and you can give, and you can help us as we continue to fight for the freedom, not only spiritually, but physically in the country of Belize. Rise up, and be a free people that protects other people and fights for the rights and fights for the cause of family. And in Jesus' name, we win. Right? We win because families win. Children are protected. Husbands love their wives. Wives are protected and loved by their husbands. Family wins. Corruption gets moved out of the way. And we have a society that is looking towards Jesus. And we won't tolerate the foolishness that the world will try to do to us. So please help us spread the word. You can help us do it. We're going to need some finances in this fight. So help us. Please help us. Thank you. Thank you very much. Again, this is not only about just our laws and liberty, but if this passes, telling you, pedophilia, human trafficking, all these crimes and voices will be eliminated, and those in power, they have all say. It will be illegal to worship Jesus. It will be illegal to talk about. Already, they've said that if this passes, the Bible will be considered a hate book by the very person, one of the people that are writing this bill. The Bible will be considered a hate book and will be banned in this country. Hey, love you. Out from Belize.